and 20, and so I'm here to just, talk about Common Writer. So I hear I have Pablo with me, and how you doing, Pablo?
Oh, yes, I'm good, Tyler. Thanks for bringing me in.
No problem, man, no problem. So I guess the first thing we gotta talk about was like our first ever contact with this program.
Mm. Yeah, if you ask me, my first contact with Kamen Rider came. I think in general, I was aware that there was a character known as the Kamen Rider for repeatedly seeing the name on popular culture, and but I never did much more digging to find out who this character was. Only when a friend of mine who used to stream a lot of tokusatsu on his Discord server, he showed me, "Hey, you want to see Kamen Rider?" And I was like, "Okay." So we watched a season called Kamen Rider W, which is the first season I watched completely. Now, some I've seen that some fans have different opinions of which is which one is the first that you have to see. This is the one I first watched. But in reality, the first time I ever heard of the Kamen Rider was when I was reading about the history of how Sentai was adapted into Power Rangers and how Saban adapted a character called the Kamen Rider, which then I didn't know, into Saban Rider. And I heard that that was a really piss poor adaptation. And ever since I watched Kamen Rider W, I basically went all in. I watched at this point, I'm starting to watch many of the older seasons. I started watching Ryuki, which is instantly becoming a very particular favorite of mine. I'm watching the latest season, Revise, as it comes in. Um, I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan because there's still because I want to actually watch more until I can call myself a true fan of Kamen Rider. But I will say that I'm kind of excited that there is actually a movie in the works of this remake of the first Kamen Rider. I watched the trailer and I find it really amazing. The fact that it's not like what we're used to see in the West, basically like a reimagining for a new audience. No, it's basically the old Kamen Rider, but he has a better looking suit.
Right, the first contact for me for a Kamen Writer, I think, was literally like 2 years ago. And what the heck is going on outside with the ambulance? Okay, so anyway, getting back to the topic, but my first ever contact with this whole entire series was literally just 2 years ago because, like, we were just talking before the other day, just it was really hard to just find episodes of this program because not many companies have licensed it. And so when I first heard the news about Shout Factory just getting the rights to Common Writer, I was like really excited. And so little by
Mm-hmm.
little they started to get like the shows legally onto their streaming services. They got like the 1971 show, they got Cougar, I think, and they have some other ones in some random movies. But the ones that they licensed so far, I really enjoyed. And like you, I feel as though I'm not like an expert myself because I think that I need to see more shows to tell you guys if I'm really, really a huge, huge fan. But right now, I could say I'm just a casual fan, right? Just a casual fan. But it's funny that you were mentioning about the new movie that's gonna come out really soon because there's a video. I'm not gonna have the audio play in the background, but like they did like a comparison. No, 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 that's not. No, no, that's the wrong video. Yeah, that was the wrong video. But there was like a comparison video
Mm-hmm.
where they were doing some sort of comparison between like the original opening for Kamen Rider and then also the remake, and it's literally just
Okay.
shot to shot. And so hold on, I'm gonna show
Mm.
you guys like the comparison of like what they did for this year versus like what they did in the past. So there's a video
I
right here.
cons-
So
Consider that like we're talking 1971. Like this, this hasn't gone like we like with the current one. Like we've been, it's like been like almost like 50 years.
right, so as you guys can see is like the difference is like Shin right there, and then the other one just have just Kamen Riders right there, and the video is
Hmm.
unfortunately still
Oh,
loading up right now,
yeah,
but it's
they're
like
there.
the same sort of frame but in widescreen right there. And then because you have to close up the bike, and then you have him just going down like this, and it's nearly
Semaru
like shot by
Shika
the shot. Yeah.
Jigoku no Kundan. I love the song.
Right.
Daida kick. Daida
Uh,
jump.
Jump. Kamen
Kamen
Rider.
Rider.
Kamen
Kamen Rider.
Rider. Hey.
Daida. Daida.
All right, we got a comment. So it's like it
The
comes from
original from
Xavier.
we have a comment.
Yeah, it's
The
like
original
the
from
original from 1971, or the first show from any era. For me, my very first contact had to be the USA adaptation of Kamen Rider, right?
Ryuki.
Ryukyu. Yeah.
Yes. So Xander, I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually wanted to comment that. So so I remember when I was again, like I mentioned, the story of Power Rangers. There was Saban Mask Raider. Now, if I remember correctly, when Power Rangers was being extremely successful in the United States, Saban wanted to adapt more tokusatsu shows, and I think he made two. One was VR Warriors, which he basically took three shows and he put them into a single one. Needless to say, the show didn't do well because they run out of all the footage. But the other one was Seven Mask Raider. Now he took, I think it was the season Kamen Rider Black X, I think, to make introduce the Kamen Rider to the American audience. Now, what he basically did, and I call it this way, was Luke Skywalker and Superman if they were a Kamen Rider. Basically, this story, the rough outline, is that our protagonist is a young kid who is the prince of another planet who gets sent to Earth to, and he lives with a human family, and he has to basically become the Kamen Rider, Mask Rider, to protect them. It didn't do well, and the biggest problem is that it didn't understood how to adapt the character because what the Kamen Rider is. Now, the original, and to put it simply, is a young man who happens to be a cyborg and who puts his belt to transform into the Kamen Rider, rides a bike, and fights monsters. Simple as that. Adding all those fantasy elements just really didn't felt like a part of the Kamen Rider because those elements feel alien to the base of it. And in its 50 years on air, most of the Kamen Rider themes have been basically science fiction. There have been a few that are geared toward fantasy, wizard, saber, but in general is sci-fi. The other aspect of that is that for a long time, people basically that was their foray into into Kamen Rider. Basically, they saw Mask Raider and said, "Oh, so it looks really cringy." But then later on came Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. Now, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight is an adaptation. It's not made by Saban. Let me check quickly who made it. Um,
I think it's like a different company than Saturn.
it was a company. I want to check who did it. Oh, so it was actually interesting. I didn't knew this. It was originally aired by the CW as part of their CW for kids programming. Oh, interesting.
What?
CW doing
Huh.
CW.
I remember hearing about Ultraman being aired by 4Kids at one point too.
Mm.
So
I heard one time
I
that
can only
Ultraman. Yeah,
imagine
I
what it
heard.
was like with 4Kids.
Yeah, I heard one time. I think was talking with someone. I'd actually see it episodes of an Ultraman Australian adaptation. Like, like it existed. So you who don't know, there's a season of Kamen Rider. If you can put it on the screen so people can see it, Tyler, Kamen Rider Ryuki, which I'm not going to spoil anything, but to basically put the rough outline, Kamen Rider Ryuki is basically Battle Royale Kamen Rider Edition. You have 13 Kamen Riders all fighting for one goal, which is basically a wish. Whoever wins gets to wish for something they want. This season, as far as I know, that one right there. Oh, that's actually interesting
Yeah,
information right
this is
there.
actually an announcement that's been done by Toku Shout. So that's basically Shout Factory for their like Japanese properties unit. But basically here it goes. Kamen Rider Ryuku, all 50 episodes starts on Monday at 12 a.m. Pacific time. Those who don't fight won't survive, and
That
those
was
who
the tagline
war.
of the show.
Yeah,
They
that's the
were-
title.
okay,
Wow.
yeah, the tagline: "Those who don't fight won't survive." Because again, this show was sold as there's basically the Rider War. Because
Okay.
um, again, I tried to not spoil it, but basically, the motif in this one are decks of cards. Basically, there is a mirror world where the Kamen Riders make contract with a monster, and that monster basically becomes their source of power. In the case of Ryuki, is a dragon. Those two right there, you can enlarge the image so people can see it. That one. So that one is the red one is Ryuki, the protagonist. The black one right there that is basically looks like Batman. That's Kamen Rider Knight, whose creature is a bat, and the other one is Kamen Rider Solda, who he has a gun. Yeah, he's kind of cool, and his creature is the Minotaur. So how it works is that in their belt they have their card deck, and I think this show came in 2002 around that time, and I haven't been able to fully confirm this, but apparently Ryuki took cues from Yu-Gi-Oh because around that time the anime was around, the manga was all time popular, so basically took cues from that particular story. So Kamen
This,
Rider Dragon
this
Knight
one, this part
was
right here is actually pretty funny to me. Like this is some sort of fake letter to skip work to see the show. This was done by Shell Factory, so to whoever this may concern, this is to confirm I visited blank for medical attention. After examination, the patient was diagnosed with increased stress due to a attack of their life. The correct meditation was prescribed, and I recommend that they stay indoors for the next 24 hours.
yes. I mean, again, like I tell you, like people should. If you want to watch a Kamen Rider show, I recommend Ryuki. But going back with Dragon Knight, so Dragon Knight was adapted by the CW, and one of the cool things they did is that they actually decided to call it the Kamen Rider, and I think the reason why is because I think it was the how I call this. I think it was one of the producers who says he's the Kamen Rider. He's not the Masked Rider. He's the Kamen Rider. So basically, they kept the name. I haven't watched episodes of it. I've heard that it's a different story, but it's kind of like the rough outline as we keeps it. It's on Pluto for me. My first show to completion is W, followed by O, and now adding Kuga, Kabuto, Saber, Drive,
Let
and
me,
now Revise.
well, I can answer that question. Yes, like if you go
Mm,
onto Pluto TV underneath Toku Shoutsu, they show Kamen Rider all the time. They also show Ultraman and also these other programs from Tokusatsu. So
cool.
go to Toku
Mm.
Shoutsu on Pluto TV for free. By the way, it's for free, so you don't have to pay for anything. You can play on your cell phone and also your computer. So both ways.
Hmm. So, so going back with the story, the thing about Ryuki, and one of the reasons why they decided to adapt it was because number one, it had a lot of characters. You have 13 Kamen Riders, all of them with their unique motifs. Also, this is an interesting reason. It's I think I'm not sure if this is the first one, but this is one of the first. I'm not sure if the first Kamen Rider season, but this Kamen Rider season had a female Kamen Rider. I'm not sure it's the first one or if it's like the more important the first one with actual screen time, but it was Kamen Rider Femme that I think she appears in many episodes, but she is actually present in the whole story. So they decided to adapt her as well. Um, what I found funny is that the show aired in 2008, 2009. Surprised I never heard about that. And so the thing that with Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, and I suggest people to watch it, is that basically has endorsement by the Japanese. The Japanese loved it. In fact, I feel that it's one of the few times in which I've seen people actually Japan like an adaptation from outside. Um,
No,
The
this is actually
yep.
a really
Okay,
cool
go.
announcement that's been coming out recently because we're actually receiving the manga for Kamen Rider in the United States really shortly. So let's
Mm,
read out this announcement. Seven Seas Entertainment is thrilled to announce the license acquisition of Kamen Rider, the classic manga collection. The complete four-volume original run of the original genre-defining Kamen Rider manga, now in English, and a special 50th anniversary hardcover. Fans around the world has been thrilled by the tales of Kamen Rider, the mass motorcycle-riding superhero who protects the world from injustice. And of course, it will
mhm.
be out this year on December 2021 for $32.99 US and $40.99 Canadian.
That's honestly kind of nice, and that's actually how it started. Kamen Rider started as a manga by Shotaro Shinomori, who, rest in peace, he's been long dead. Um, it's one of the things I find interesting when I look at Kamen Rider and also compare it with Sentai is that historically Kamen Rider has been more successful than Sentai in many forays, and I think one of the reasons why, I think it has to do with the fact that it is harder to write a team. Sorry, harder to write a single character than a team. Because the problem with you writing a team is that you run the problem of eventually everyone in the team will just feel the same.
Right, because you have to, make sure that the story, just does not focus on, the main team member, but all the team members and have their own personal development.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, to give you an example of a season of Sentai that was basically outperformed by its Kamen Rider counterpart. So there is this season of Sentai that I've heard that many people like actually. I think it's Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger. It's the first season where you have two Sentai teams fighting each other. It's basically cops and robbers. Now, I haven't seen the show. I want to watch it, but I've heard many people talking about it, and the main consensus is that it's not that bad of a show. It's actually quite interesting. But the thing is that it was outperformed by the Kamen Rider season of that time, which was Kamen Rider CO. And CO is basically what Kamen Rider Decade was, but better. And also, that's actually I like about Kamen Rider, the fact that I don't know why, but I just love how every motif, all the belts and stuff, they just become so like I don't know. It's just I love how they manage to find all the time creative ways of creating like belts for the Kamen Riders to use. Like, I never knew that you can make books a motif, like in Kamen Rider Saber.
I did not know that either. But let's see. This is
Hmm.
actually some recent news that came out yeah, yesterday during Halloween. So yay, it's not that scary after all for news. I was excited enough
Exactly.
to see yeah, that was cheesy on my end. Sorry. That was really cheesy.
It's okay.
I was
Mhm.
excited enough to see three classic Kamen Rider movies on the big screen, but they were also subtitled in English. So this is actually some sort of Tokyo International Film Festival that happened yesterday. They were showing like different kinds of Kamen Rider movies. So hold on, I'm gonna show you guys like the various things they have. So they have like, Kamen Rider versus Shocker, Kamen Rider versus the Ambassador of Hell, and then Kamen Rider versus Destruction. And also they mentioned that James Cameron was also shown up for that whole entire thing.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
no,
Hold
Kamen
on, I'm gonna look
Rider
for that video.
crossover with Avatar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna look for that video for James Cameron. Hold on. Where is that
Mm.
video from James Cameron? It's like
Also, if I can mention something about the recent Kamen Rider season revise. I actually tweeted about it. I don't know why, but it just fills me with joy that the villains are Mexican. Like, it's one of them is a mariachi. The other one, the girl is dressed like a Katrina. The the
can
green
you
guy, the other green guy.
can you share like the
Hmm?
image for that image about with the mariachi and stuff?
Let me see, because it's a Twitter gif. I think I am. I retweeted it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But I don't know. I just like it, and it's funny that I found an article. No. It wasn't an article. It was a tweet. Someone said someone said something along the lines of please gringos don't cancel Kamen Rider because the villains are look like Mexicans. We love them. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I found it. I was said it. I posted in the private chat so you can post it.
Okay.
Mexican inspired with the main leader literally being called Aguilera. Yeah, one of the others is called Olteca. Like you couldn't get more Mesoamerican than that. I mean, then again, Mexico. There was an event that I saw the other day that apparently Ultraman and Santo did a crossover. So I send you the link, by the way, in private chat, Tyler. But yeah, there it is. Like, come on, you cannot tell me that that looks amazing. I don't know. I just love it. I just love it. I mean, the first moment I saw it, I was like, yo, yeah, these are my people. And they tell me, but you're Chilean, you're not Mexican. Shut up. I mean, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, look, my only as if you have been following the series along, well, personally, I have. Um, I seriously tell you that one of the things that I wait for it is that so those two guys, Teca and the green guy, basically already have their stamps. The mariachi is a wolf and the other one is a squid. But Aguilera doesn't seem to have one right now. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
this
the
is actually
OG.
the original Kamen Rider actor, but there was a part with
Mm,
James Cameron. Hold on, I'm gonna look for that part with James Cameron. Oh, there it is. Hold on.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is
I think
like
it's kind
James
of like
Cameron
a
actually endorsing Kamen Rider, guys. James Cameron.
yeah, because let's be careful. Let's be careful because who knows? Maybe he will try to avatar Kamen Rider. Who knows?
Greetings, Tokyo International Film Festival. This is Jim Cameron coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand, where I'm finishing Avatar 2. Still finishing Avatar 2. I just want to give a warm greeting to my friend Fujioka-san on the occasion of the 50th anniversary screening of his breakout film, Kamen Rider. Fujioka-san, congratulations for being honored by the Tokyo International Film Festival, for your giant contribution to tokusatsu, such an important part of the legacy of Japanese cinema. I hope that Kamen Rider will ride on forever. You are my friend, a great actor, a hero to millions of people, a good father, and a true samurai. I salute you.
That
It's
was
amazing.
amazing.
That is amazing. That is really amazing.
We got like
I'm not kidding. That's really
we
amazing.
got freaking James Cameron endorsing Kamen Rider. James Cameron.
You know, I like to think like when I think about it that I'm sometimes surprised how Kamen Rider, despite being the huge hit that basically is, it has never actually. I feel that many people still don't know who this character is. Like my dad, for example, and my dad remembers Ultraman. In fact, he likes to tell me that when he was little, they will show Ultraman on the TV, and he one time told me about it. Like when I was watching Super Sentai, like basically starting to watch it again, he told me, "Oh, I remember when I was young and I was watching Ultraman." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah," and he was like funny. He was like this guy, like a tight suit, just fighting monsters. That was really cool.
Right, but yeah, the thing about
it's
the
just
whole entire exposure to this sort of genre is at least in the United States, it was like starting with the 19 yeah, I would
mm,
say maybe yeah, with Godzilla King of the Monsters, that was like the American
exactly.
adaptation of that Japanese movie. And then little by
Mm,
little they started to import the various monsters the War the Gigantuas or Rodan and these other ones like Monstra. But then as far as the tokusatsu TV shows, first they started with Ultraman in the United States in the 1960s. And then they had like the space giants. That's at least what's what it's called, the space giants. And then I remember also hearing stories from my mother about like how they had Ultraman, the space giants, and I cannot remember the other ones, but there was like a lot of the shows that came around the 1960s.
Yeah,
And
if I
then like
remember that there was one that my sorry, go on.
no, go on. You first.
Okay, so that reminds me that there's a particular show that my dad used to watch that I never actually uh knew that existed. So there is a show that it was shown in the United States, sorry, in the Chile, as Sankokai basically. So Sankokai, I found the opening and I'm sending you the link so we can show it to people. I'm sending you for private to the chat. Basically, it was a show that he told me that it was about two brothers who were fighting an evil empire in space. It was basically like sci-fi. I'm just gonna show you right there. And this is actually the opening which was shown here in Chile. Kokai, San Kokai, es una nave, es una nave. So, few interesting details. That name is from the French translation of San Kokai. Yeah, it's based on a manga by Shotaro Shinomori, basically the guy who created Kamen Rider and Sentai. So, what's the story about? Well, the story is about two brothers, like I told you, who, with the help of their little robot companion and also a monkey man, fight an evil empire known as, I think, it's the Ravana Empire. And those are their appearance. I forgot exactly what's the role of the princess, but basically, if you keep showing it, you show actually some scenes. How the fight scenes go and how some of the characters, it's basically precursor to whole Sentai genre. Interesting thing, this first was a movie that it did well, but it flopped in the States because Star Wars came just when this was coming out. So some people call it a ripoff when this was actually an original work. And it was funny to me because my dad one time said that Sentai was stupid, and I told him, well, it's not very different from Marvel. Like, it's the same thing.
You
And I
know,
was like,
it's funny
okay.
you mentioned that Marvel because Marvel was actually behind the production of some of the Sentai that was made. Particularly on the top of my head
Exactly.
was like the Spider Man adaptation, which is like a whole entire like acid trip to watch. And then there was also
Exactly.
Battle Fever J that they also helped produce. So
Yeah. In fact, I heard that there is a season of Sentai. You can actually Google the opening because it's actually one of my favorite openings. Sun Vulcan. Sun Vulcan is the first and only Sentai season with 3 male members. Um, the um, the interesting thing is that apparently Stan Lee was a huge fan of that season, and he actually wanted to adapt it into the States. And in fact, the whole process. What's the craziest about this USA Tokusatsu stuff is Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad recently got 2 seasons of anime adapted off of it. I've never heard of that one, honestly. Have you heard about that show, Tyler?
no, never haven't.
Yeah, I just never heard that show in particular. Oh, but yeah, couple of yeah, I remember Mask Raider adaptation of Black RX and Kamen Rider Dragon adaptation of Ryuki. Yes, adaptation of Black RX. I remember that. Thank you, Sander. What was going? Oh yeah, so an interesting thing about how Power Rangers came to be, there was actually a whole process of which season was going to be adapted. Because I remember that one of the first season that was considered for adaptation was Shodenshi Bioman, which Disney didn't go to the end. The second one was Chojin Sentai Jetman. And Jetman is interesting in the story of Sentai because the people who worked on it basically worked on it thinking that it was going to be the last Sentai season. Because around that time, Sentai wasn't doing very well because how these shows basically sustain themselves is by selling merchandise, tons of it. So Jetman was considered to be the last one, so they basically went all out. Jetman is popular because it's one of the first with a true love triangle between the leader, the red one, and the black one, and the white one. It has a more drama aspect to it that other Sentai seasons just don't have. And when when they made it, that was a season considered to be the first Power Rangers. But guess why they didn't do it?
Well, I think the main reason why was, from what I understand so far, when I was watching these documentaries and ahead of this, like apparently, I think Saban wanted to get like they were using some sort of pilot episode, but they decided to, switch the episode from Jetman to the other ones like Show You Sentai Zoo Ranger, whatever. That's why they changed it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few other reasons why they did it. So there is a anime show that actually, well, a manga and an anime that actually has similar elements to Sentai that in English is called Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. Uh, Gatchaman was later adapted in English as G Force, or also Saban dubbed it as Saban's Eagle Riders. One of the reasons why they didn't want to adapt Jetman is because Jetman was made as an homage to Gatchaman. Because in Gatchaman the characters are all birds, and they took the
Right. It was
birds
like a
because
show from the 1970s. Yeah, I remember
yeah
that.
they
Yeah.
yeah they did it as an homage. And that was one of the reasons why they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to feel that it was a ripoff. And also, I think the most basic reason why Sue Ranger, the one with the dinosaurs, became the chosen as Power Rangers, and I think that I already said it. Kids love dinosaurs. Let's not kid ourselves. And you're
Yeah,
talking robot dinosaurs that can transform into giant robots. Yeah.
exactly. By the way, this is not we were just talking about earlier about how there's going to be a Shin Kamen Rider, but this is not the only Kamen Rider movie that's going to come out. There's going to be a Kamen Rider Black Sun movie coming out, yeah, next year. So let's check out the trailer.
Let's go.
Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. Hold on. There was a question right here. Didn't they want to adapt Jetman? Funny enough, it was one of the right before the Sentai that became Mighty Morphin. Yes, they did. Hold on, let me try to find the Jetman pilots. Yeah, the Jetman pilots, like pilot. Yeah, uh, but yeah, there was like some sort of Jetman pilot that they were. No, no. Those are like the wrong things. Yeah, that is definitely the wrong thing. But yeah, there was like some sort of pilot that they were trying to do for Jetman. All right, so wait, Pablo, your mic is still still muted.
Oh, sorry. So what I want to mention is that maybe you can show the opening so people are aware of which one we're talking about, because I feel that some people are not aware of Jetman. I'm just saying.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to find the opening for Jetman. But there was some sort of pilot that was based upon the Jetman TV show. So hold on, there it is.
With a lot of
No,
Oh,
I
come
am
on.
not interested in your commercial. So
Oh my god, I hate commercials.
yeah. figures, really.
People, we don't endorse this, okay? That's
I
one.
do endorse getting the official DVD release, so but yeah,
Oh
get
yeah,
the DVD.
keep the physical, guys. There
Yeah.
it starts.
超人戦隊ジェットマン
Jetman. I love that song.
I think it's the same singer from Dragon Ball Z for Chala Hichala.
I think, I think it is.
You know, it's kind of interesting because when you look at these old Super Sentai shows, like these look more adult in comparison to the newer one because they have like actual adults compared to teenagers.
Yeah, I think that was common like around that time in general. But not also that, like I told you, like this season had a more drama approach to it. So I think they wanted a different type of actor. Although usually I feel that for some reason, I don't know why young people in the past look older than they do now. Toma. But yeah, so everyone watching, this was originally going to be Power Rangers. But because it was similar to Gatchaman, which it was G-Force in the United States, they decided not to do it because I think that they will feel that it was like a ripoff.
Now, getting back to the original Kamen Rider.
Exactly.
So
Rider.
getting back to Kamen Rider, I remember hearing stories that apparently like the original actor actually did his own stunts with the motorcycles and everything.
Yes, he did. In fact, I think he broke his leg, and many of the I think the rider kick, which is kind of the most characteristic, basically the attack of the Kamen Rider, basically comes from the fact that he broke his leg and there was some moves that he couldn't do, so they had to find a way of how he could do all the things at that point. It's actually kind of interesting to me the fact that he still will make appearances in various like shows and other things. Like I really find it incredible. But also a fun fact about suit actors in Kamen Rider, Sentai, and also in Ultraman.
By the way,
look.
Getting back to your topic, we were just talking a little bit about the original actor. This is the new actor for the new movie, and he also
broke his leg.
Yes.
Perfect. So that you can't, dude. Every time there's a talk about how to say this, about a quality adaptation that takes in consideration elements of the original, you need to tell, oh yeah, the Kamen Rider actor broke his leg like the original one, so that means that this adaptation is going to be good.
Oh man. Already following the footsteps. It's like, yeah, exactly. It is the curse of the Kamen Rider. Exactly, Israel.
It is. I mean, the writer for Jetman, Inoue, did go on to make Kamen Rider Agito, Vice, then work on Hibiki and Kiba. I mean, it's general. Like, I actually was reading about this, and one of the things that I found interesting about the whole industry is you will see many suit actors, and writers just returning. I mean, of course, Toei makes them, so both of them make it. But I find it interesting that one thing that I found out was that many suit actors of Sentai and Kamen Rider, and also in Ultraman, they're on their 40s or late 50s. So every time you're seeing scenes of Kamen Riders and Sentai fighting each other or fighting on monsters, think about the fact that you're seeing 40 or to 50-year-old men basically doing all those stunts. I mean, it's a physically demanding job, and I'm surprised that some of them are still still have the strength to pull that off. Like, for example, there is one suit actor in particular. I forgot the name I forget the name, but basically he's famous because he has portrayed pretty much every single pink Sentai Ranger. since the 80s.
Huh.
And I find it funny because it reminds me that I don't, maybe out of topic, but I remember when in Black Widow, if you haven't watched the movie, but I don't know if someone cares about spoilers,
I
but
haven't
in
watched
Black Widow
like
the big,
I haven't watched like the Marvel movies since Endgame, so I'm behind it because it looks like garbage to me. But anyway.
yeah, I mean I don't care about spoilers anyway, but basically the thing that reminds me is that there's a scene in which in Black Widow Taskmaster appears, and basically throughout the whole thing you basically see, oh, Taskmaster is a guy. But then they reveal it at the end that it's actually Olga Kurilenko, which is an actress that I actually like. But the fact is that she's like really skinny, and they superimpose her face on Taskmaster and it doesn't look realistic. And then I was thinking, how is it possible that Sentai has men portraying female characters in suits and look more feminine than this one? And I found the very simple answer. Basically, I think I heard one time that one of the things they do is that they actually take cues from kabuki actors, because in kabuki, if you guys are aware, kabuki is a Japanese theater style where only men appear. There's only male actors, and it has to do with a prohibition that happened in the late shogunate, because kabuki was seen as basically as the theater of the commoners, and women often appear on kabuki theaters. Basically, their plays were to show themselves to potential buyers, basically prostitution. So what the shogunate did, they told, okay, you're forbidden. Only young men can portray females in kabuki. And then they had to forbid that too because the young men were doing the exact same thing the female actresses were doing.
Huh. It's almost sound
Yeah,
like
it's like,
I think I heard about something similar during like European times in those countries in the past. Where they
yeah.
are also,
But
have
what I'm
like,
going with this,
men like where like the men were also portraying the women too. At least for the shake. I'm
so
not sure if
yeah,
it's true or not, but you could correct me if I'm wrong.
Depends. But what I'm going with this is that the later men could do it. What happens is that there is a type of actor in kabuki called onagata, and the onagata are male actors who are actually trained themselves to portray female roles. And I watch clips of a show called, I think it was Kabuki Cool, which is on YouTube. Although for some reason they pull out some of the episodes, maybe for copyright. Basically, one of the actors who appears there is an actor called Kataoka Ainosuke, who is actually one of the most famous kabuki actors of these last few years. And he explains that the whole process of being a woman is that they have to put themselves in a certain angle and a certain way of moving, because if you don't do it, because what they have to do is that they have to sell you the idea that they're portraying a woman, not a character, that they're being a woman, the way they move, the way they talk. So they actually contort their bodies in a certain way, so you cannot see the male figure when they're doing performing. And that in a way translates to Sentai. Actually kabuki influenced many art forms, not just Sentai, but there's many elements from that. Basically translated to Sentai in the fact that many of the actors who portray female roles do the exact same thing, the way they move, the way they posture themselves, so you cannot see the male figure. In fact, I heard this actually might be a joke, but I've heard that some people say that the reason why many female Sentai characters have skirts is to hide the obvious male bits. I mean, it might be it might be a lie. It might be a lie. It sounds funny, but I think it's a lie. So, Sandra says, and yeah, the actor from the OG Kamen Rider was expected to never walk again, but he recovered, determined to give hope to children, and continue to cameo to this day. Legend. Basically, massive respect. Honestly, like massive respect. It's incredible.
Exactly, man. Like, but also, there's some more news for United States too, because we're gonna get like the Kamen Rider 01 on Blu-ray, and it's actually gonna come out. Hold on, the release date is. Let me find it somewhere. There's like
By
no
the way,
tunnel.
Tyler, can you send me the link to the stream, please? Not not
Sure.
not the not the not the not to invite someone, to just to share it because someone asked me for it.
All right, sure. Why not? Sure. I'm gonna share the link for you. 1 minute.
Okay.
But oh my goodness.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's weird. But here you go.
Hmm.
Check the The private chat right there.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. All right, but anyway, we're gonna get like a new Blu-ray for Kamen Rider 01. Now let's see the bonus feature. We get like the Kamen Rider 01 Real X Time, a special episode called President Special Part 1, Part 2, a special episode Shooting Special, special episodes, special, let's see, Super Work War Battle 1, Super Work War Battle 2.
Wow.
Wait, so where's the release date? It's, but then like you get a poster if you order it here, like a poster. So it's like a 18 NC times 24 and yeah post. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Also, I see Joe. Oh man, prostitution. Yeah, I think what they would say about it, but it's just that the history of kabuki is just so interesting because it not only it's a classic art form, but also it influenced a ton of later Japanese art. Not only Sentai, but also anime. In fact, if there are many kabuki operas keep some of the have similar stock characters that you will see in Sentai and anime. Also,
Right.
I see that one of my good friends is in the chat. Hi, Sophie.
Oh, is that selfie?
Yes, Sophie.
Okay,
So,
okay, all right.
she,
Hi.
hmm,
But there was this I don't know, this sort of event that was celebrating the 60th anniversary for Kamen Rider, and they had like a lot of announcements. Well, besides Shin Kamen Rider,
hmm.
this one
Oh, yeah.
also it's like it has like hold on, let me try to find the
Let's
various
hope we get to
highlights.
100 years.
Yeah, but there were some cool projects that were announced. I'm gonna try to
There's a
make this.
ton. Like there's
Yeah.
really a ton.
楽しんでいただける新機軸の仮面ライダーということで、今お話があった通り50年を経て本日新たに発表される仮面ライダーの新プロジェクト、この4月3日というのは日付が変わった瞬間から仮面ライダー生誕50周年のお祝いムードに包まれ、 SNS 上は50周年をお祝いするハッシュタグ、そして作品名、関連ワードがトレンドを席巻しており、まさに仮面ライダー一色の一日となっております。それを締めくくる本日の会見です。ますます
I love how it's like called Kamen Rider Day.
Oh yeah. I mean, something that I remember someone asked me. I remember when I was showing it to my grandmother, and she asked me, "So what Kamen means?" And I was like, "Mask, like Mask Raider, like it's a guy on a motorcycle who rides and fights monsters." And it's funny when I was talking to her about W, that it has like its main character, Shotaro is a detective, and she immediately tells me, "Oh, like Columbo." And I was like, I mean, kind of. So he says we still get kabuki performances by the temples here in Hawaii during the summer. Every time you say things about Hawaii, Sophie, the things that you have and you do, it makes me want to go even more.
I was in the state of Hawaii at least 2 years ago on the island of Kauai, and judging from my experience there, I could tell you, like, it's like the majority population is actually Asian if you look
Mm.
at the statistics. And also, there's like a lot of like Japanese tourists, and so like a lot of people get money from the Japanese people there. But also, because of the large Asian population, they get like an influx of like these sort of TV shows with sometimes English subtitles. And so you'll get like some sort of, Korean TV shows or Japanese TV shows, and they will have like the subtitles or, without the subtitles.
Mhm.
And so it's really interesting because like during the 1970s, they would bring like these sort of shows like Kamen Rider V3 and these other programs like Ultra 7 to Hawaii, and they would also, watch the programs that way. And
Mm.
so I
In
think,
fact, the first
yeah.
Sentai show to be actually like the first Sentai show to be actually shown in American television was the first one, Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, that was shown in Hawaiian television because
Yeah,
they got
and also Battle Fever J was also shown in Hawaii too during the 70s.
for some reason fans of Sentai that I've seen don't like the design of Battle Fever Jays. Like I actually like them, but in a sense that it's kind of nostalgia. So what Sophie says, yeah, the K-drama channels are still super popular here. I grew up with a lot of those. I mean, we did have the same, like around I think late 90s, early 2000s here in South America. There was an explosion on Japanese content, particularly anime, and it was to a point where you couldn't walk 2 miles basically without seeing a little girl paint with her nails painted black and her backpack full of pins of the different shows and bands she was listening to at the time, and pretty much half of those were Japanese bands. Like there was like an explosion of that kind of content, and I remember there was a channel here in Chile called Etcetera TV, which kind of still exists, which screen a lot of anime shows, and during a time, and they still do it. There's a lot of Japanese drama in there, and now they're moving on to K drama basically. Um, but again,
Yeah,
I think if I remember correctly, there hasn't never been Kamen Rider being screened here in Chile. In fact, the only one I think that was Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. But I remember that when I was starting to basically look for it, it says that in South America it was only screened in Mexico and a few other South American countries. But here in Chile, apparently, it didn't do well because people weren't watching it. Mexico has tight relations with Japan. That's where it comes from. Yeah, they do.
also it's interesting because when they were trying to show Dragon Ball Super illegally outside and like these sort of places to see it publicly, like they wrote a letter to like those places to say, hey, you can't do that, that's illegal, blah 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 blah, but they still do it anyway.
Exactly. It's just, and Sentai shows are also still pretty popular here. Like one thing I remember is a lot of my teachers in primary school would decorate their classroom with Sentai stuff. I wish that was my school. I mean, it would have been cool to get to the school and tell my teacher, like, Miss, can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you? And then she pulls up this, because one of my favorite Sentai is Hurricaneger, and one of my favorite rangers is the Shurikenger, and maybe everyone could just pull the thing, and I feel that she pulls the thing, turn. Oh no way! Like imagine just like being there, just minding your own business. Please have a classroom filled with force stuff. I mean, if in my opinion, I would like one full with I mean, if it was a Sentai show, I would like to be one of Deca Ranger. So that's one of my favorites. And if it was Kamen Rider one, um which is the one?
All right, let's check out like some of the
Ryuki.
announcements that's like part of the video. There's some pretty
Let's
cool
go.
announcements.
期待が高まります。さあ、それでは今朝解禁されました最初の発表です。まずはこちらの映像からご覧ください。
サイクロンジョーカー
Oh yeah.
I never heard of like a Kamen Rider anime prior to this.
I've never heard it too, and this was actually that's something that was I think that was announced like ages ago. So those of you who are watching, that's Kamen Rider W, which actually is the first season I watched, and that's Futo Pi. That it's basically going to be an anime of the Kamen Rider one. So those Cyclone and Joker you heard is that in W the motif are basically USB drives that represent all the memory of a particular thing, and it's called W because two people are a Kamen Rider. It's basically a pair of detectives, and the cool thing about it is that it's based on a manga that was written after the show end. I think it kept going until kept going even after the show ended, and I'm not sure if it's a new story, an actual story. But to put it simply, if I can describe it, it's basically Funimation is involved. So, oh,
Oh fuck.
oh no,
Fuck.
oh. Hey, by the way, let me tell you this. I can predict one thing. One of the characters in Kamen Rider W, so the pair that becomes the Kamen Rider is Shotaro, who is the detective. The thing with him, like Columbo, basically, he's a detective, and the thing with him is that he wants to be what he calls a hard-boiled detective, basically the typical noir detective. And Philippe is this really weird person that when I first watch it, he always dresses in girls' clothing, or I'm not sure if I call it girl clothing, but he dresses like a girl and he has long hair, and the manga makes it look like a femboy. Futopia is a sequel to W and is considered canon. It is? Oh wait, oh then I can't wait to watch it. But let me tell you this: I bet 100% that when this comes out, people are gonna start calling Philip trans. I'm sure of it because people on Twitter are idiots.
さあ発表は東映株式会社テレビ企画制作部長仮面ライダーダブルチーフプロデューサー塚田秀明より行います。塚田部長お願いいたします。
東映テレビ企画制作部長、塚田秀明でございます。本日は、お集まりいただきまして誠にありがとう
Don't
ござ
you
いま
notice
す。
how weird
私
it
の
is
方
that
からは、
they speak
フ
fast?
ート探偵の、ご紹介をさせていただきます。
Yeah, a little bit. I noticed that.
Yeah, they speak fast and just simple thing. Futopia is a
ダブル
manga.
の正当続
Oh,
編
there it
と
is.
して、2017年8月から、小学館週刊ビッグコミックスピリッツで、連載開始して、現在も、絶賛連載中でございます。このフート探偵が、今回
Oh, so this is based upon a manga. Okay.
Yeah.
シリーズの、
Wow.
アニメーション連続ものの
Xander mentioned in
アニメ
the
という
comments,
のは
it's
仮面ライダーの、50
it's
年の
a canon sequel to the W series.
試みでございます。
And also, yes, Xander, Philip is androgynous, but yeah, he's a dude. It's just that I say that in the case that this show comes out, basically, I feel that people will start calling Philip gay or even trans because for some reason people are idiots on Twitter. And I don't say it as a means to like suggest anything. I just say that that's the way people react.
Right. This is also for like Kamen Rider Black Sun. It's also gonna become a movie. So
放送された仮面ライダーブラック、原作への原点回帰をコンセプトに主人公とライバルが戦うという設定など、後の、平成仮面ライダーシリーズのにつながる方向性を決定づけた、
I'm so used to the fastness due to living here for so
先
long.
生が関わられた最後のテレビシリーズ作品ということでもあります。この度生誕50周
Why
年を
is
記念し
that,
て
Sophie?
仮面ライダーブラックを
Why
リブー
why
ト
did you
し、
speak so fast?
新たに仮面ライダーブラックサンとして、皆様にお届けすることとなりました。シリーズ全体の監督を務めるのは、凶悪、それから古老の知事
Let's see. Yeah, either the dub will answer it or Twitter dummies will call them trans.
Funny enough, an actor, Kamen Rider, does identify as non-binary. Oh, oh, that's I didn't know that, but I think that good for him. Honestly, good for him. But yeah, I mean, I say it. I don't know why, but I feel that people are so predictable that that's just what I feel that they were gonna do. Like I just heard that I don't know if it's a joke or not, but there is going to be apparently a
シリーズなど
Berserk
話題作を
anime,
数
a
多く手
Berserk
掛けて
live action adaptation.
日本映画界の風雲児、白石和也監督となります。白石監督からコメントが届いておりますので、ご紹介させていただきます。仮面ライダーブラックのリブートというとんでもないプロジェクトに、身振りしています。 仮面ライダー50年の歴史の重さに
You know, I find it interesting how, like, these directors of these movies are passionate fans
南光太郎
Mhm.
who actually, care about the end products of, what they're going to do. But then we have people like, Hollywood, they don't necessarily give two craps about what they're working on. Even
Exactly.
like an
They
avid.
just take
こちらの仮面ライダーブラックさんは
popular
来年2002年の春に
franchise
ベールを脱ぐ予定です。
and they
そ
do
れま
what
で
they
皆
want
様
with it. Basically, it's there and they're toys and they want to play with it. Because the way I put it is that directors, can you pause it right there? Because that's a poster of Shin Kamen Rider, and I just love how cool it looks like. Basically, how I perceived it is that Western directors see franchises as toys. They take them and they just play with them until they've broken them. But in the case of these guys, they grew up watching these characters, so they pretty much they're basically just as we are. They're nerds who love this character, want to make the greatest story for them. Also, Sophie commented something. I went to cram school here for a while, and almost all my main tutors will speak that fast. Made it almost impossible for me to take notes for the longest time. Interesting. I used to have teachers like that. I wonder why is that the case? It says, haven't seen this much passion since Go Nagai working to finish Getter Robo Art, given Ishikawa and was his student and close friend. I mean, that's a thing that I feel that it's different in Japan that is from the West. The fact that they see, in a sense, the property you're working on, you need to do a good job because it's an honor to be working on a on a property, especially as Kamen Rider. Like Kamen Rider, again, we're talking about a 50-year-long franchise. So if you want to have your name put in that franchise, you want to do a good job. You want to do a good job. You want to keep justice to the character, and how it looks like. I think that Shin Kamen Rider can do it. Again, I tell you, like I made that tweet a long time ago, basically saying that there is a great difference between how Netflix is adapting, for example, Cowboy Bebop, than when you have Kamen Rider being remake. And some people try to give excuses that it's a remake made by the same company that made the original. But here's the thing: even if it's that, how is it possible that you have a character that is similar to Cowboy Bebop in the sense that we're talking about two properties that have been extremely influential, and then you're telling me that one is basically removing everything that made it show good, and the other one is basically saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make it better." Also, some people try to give me the excuse that, "Oh, Cowboy Bebop is an anime. Of course, it's gonna be hard to adapt to live action." Yeah, but still, that's not really an excuse to me. Like, even if Cowboy Bebop had been live action, it will still be the same.
My main question,
I'm
my
not sure
main
you
question for this whole entire, controversy with Cowboy Bebop is, how come they cannot think about any sort of original stories that could take place in the same universe? Why do they have to adapt the original
Oh
episode?
yeah, it's exactly. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know sure it's a hot take or not, but I don't think that if you're adapting or taking an existing franchise and you want to do a new story, I don't think there's a problem with doing a new story or a new take on it. I don't think there's a problem with that. My problem is when you take the existing property and you take what made it good and you decide I don't need this. Like, I don't have a problem if Cowboy Bebop decided, like in the first few drafts, that say, okay, we're gonna make a new story based on the original, but we're gonna make something new because we want something to stand on our 2 feet. But that's not what they did. Like they claim that basically, oh, you don't go to the same place and ask more of the same. You want something different. Yeah, but the problem is that the original plate was good. Like he gave this analogy, like the producer gave you an analogy of food, saying that people don't like to eat the same thing twice. And I'm like, no. Here's the problem: people love to eat, and that's why they came back to it, and that's what they wanted. Rurouni Kenshin was adapted into live action and was still great. Just because it's an anime, that doesn't excuse making a bad adaptation. Lol. Exactly. Like it's. I always put it this way: adapting an anime to a live action, one of the first problems that many people do is that basically say, okay, so you see this character moving this way, you have to do the same thing. No. What you have to do is you have to take the rough story, adapt it, and basically you have to make it so it seems realistic. Like, for example, recently, I'll say recently, this was like a year ago. In Japan, they had an adaptation of a JoJo story of the Spooky Shiberohan, which is one of the characters of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And the cool thing about the live action adaptation is that it's actually good because it is not like every adaptation of anime I've seen. Basically, the characters don't don't overreact. They don't over emote, as I say. You have, in fact, it's well done in the sense that it feels like, oh, this actually feels like really grounded, but we still JoJo basically. So there's no excuse for a poor adaptation. Also, by the way, I have to say this: I denounced Netflix for erasing Ed from Cowboy Bebop. I condemn them because they erased an oppressed Morenita that should have been there, and they didn't. I hate them.
By the way, this is a letter from the director for Shin Kamen Rider.
革新の歴史でもあります。どんな仮面ライダーがあってもいいと父、一ノ森章太郎は常々語っていました。人類の自由のために戦いを続けてきたたくさんのライダーたちの歴史はついに50年を迎
Oh
えま
wait,
した。
this is the son of the guy who
一方で
created
父は
Kamen Rider.
シン、
Never mind. And then it'll be like the
ブラック
director.
など
Sorry.
仮面ライダーの原点の再生にも常に熱い目を向けていました。庵野監督の新仮面ライダーは最新でありながら同時にこの原点でもあるという作品です。この2つが50年という節目の年にもう一度混ざり合う。それはもちろん父にとっても非常に嬉しいことだろうと思います。監督の挑戦に期待しております。株式会社石森プロ代表取締役社長小野寺明。続いて庵野秀明さんのコメントをご紹介いたします。50年前、当時の小学生男子のほとんどが仮面ライダーという等身大ヒーローに憧れ熱中しました。自分もその一人でした。50年前にテレビ番組から受けた多大な恩恵を50年後に映画作品という形で少しでも恩返しをしたいという思いから本企画を始めました。本企画は子どもの頃から続いている大人の夢を叶える作品を、大人になっても心に残る子どもの夢を描く作品を、石森章太郎先生と東映生田スタジオが描いていたエポックメイキングな仮面の世界を現代に置き換えた作品を、そしてオリジナル映像を知らなくても楽しめるエンターテインメント作品を目指し頑張ります。最初の企画メモから足掛け6年、コロナ禍の影響による制作スケジュールの変更から公開はほぼ2年先となりましたが、何卒よろしくお待ち願います。脚本監督庵野秀明、いただきました。本日のフィナーレ。
Can you pause it, Tyler?
Yeah,
These are
I'm gonna
some
pause
of
it
the
right
comments that people are leaving.
Okay.
So as for the Shinomoris, I'm glad that they're still around. Same can be said for Subaraya, and both he and his son are gone and have been people for a long time. Yes, and I've heard that apparently one of the Subaraya sons was never actually that good, not only making shows but actually anime. And also Sophie says, I've heard that they're not going to put Ed, Cowboy Bebop, until later in the story, same as she hadn't showed up till later into the OG show. But still, I bet the casting is going to suck and they'll change her character weird. I mean, for starters, the short clip that's basically like feels Marvel-esque basically showed us that apparently Faye Valentine is apparently as good as Jet Black and Spike. Also, I find it funny that you casted a black guy to portray Jet Black, a guy who was a cop and whose code name was Black Dog. They never thought about that through. But about Ed, yeah, they're gonna do it. Like, honestly, also, I remember what people saying that, oh, Ed was always a non-binary character. If people don't never watch the show. No, Ed is a girl. Looks like a boy, but he's a girl. Why people hate tomboys? So what I did answer is because the consonants above are pronounced in the same place. This is what allows Japanese speakers to speak so fast. Interesting bit.
The front part of the tongue barely has to move between the consonants compared to English words, which is far more consonants in places of pronunciation. That is interesting. But also, have you heard about like I'm really excited about this whole entire Shin Kamen Rider because
Mhm.
first of all, I like Evangelion. Second of all, I like Shin Godzilla. And also, there's like a movie he's gonna do before Shin Kamen Rider. It's actually Shin Ultraman. Have you heard about that one?
Oh yeah, I heard about that too. And apparently the Shin Ultraman, I've heard that it's also taking its time with the whole thing. I'm not. Here's the thing. I don't nothing about Ultraman. The only thing I know is that it's old, like really old. Also, my dad used to watch it. I'm not so sure which one because of many. Um, hold on a second. The director seems to have said the character is non-binary too. It seemed to be common in Japan. Which character are you referring, Joe? I mean, much like the swap scene Invincible, the optics are terrible if people look into it for 5 seconds. Yeah. In general, let me tell you this. Like, I hate how Western directors basically just take some property and they decide to run with it. Again, I tell you, if Kamen Rider was given to a Western director, what they will do, and I told Tyler this before, this is my idea for a Netflix Kamen Rider. This is how I think it will happen. Basically, we'll have a guy who rides a motorcycle. He has no helmet. He's no Kamen Rider. The only thing that he has similar to a Kamen Rider is a leather jacket with grasshopper on it, and it's basically a member of a biker gang who basically just gets in fights with the cops. And there's a whole narrative about how there's a oppressive society that happens to be a lot of white people, and I feel that that's basically what's going to be a Kamen Rider Netflix, because Americans have to put all their stuff into the works they do. Also, Joe mentioned Ed from Cowboy Bebop. Yes, I mean Ed was a girl, tomboy basically. They say that he's non-binary. Again, I have no trust on Netflix when it comes to the adaptation of any kind of show.
All right, this is the trailer for Shin Ultraman.
Ultraman.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I really like how Shin Godzilla turned out, mostly because it felt like it was like watching the original again, but in a modern day kind of setting. When I watched this trailer for the first time, I was thinking to myself, it kind of feels like, the original Ultraman, but in a modern day setting, but also more serious. And so knowing that he's gonna do this movie and Shin Kamen Rider, like it's like a kid's, biggest dream ever, for a Japanese kid. But
Yeah, it's
as
just
far as like my
it
favorite
feels
moments,
so. Mhm.
oh, no, go
No,
ahead,
go
go
on.
ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, it's just that it's just so funny when you look at it like more seriously, like like a guy on a spandex beating up a monster. But I feel that I don't know. It's just that that's the cheesiness we like. That's this kind of stories we like because those are the things we like. Hold on a second. Someone commented Netflix Kamen Rider will be a gender fluid, non-binary trans Filipino lesbian fighting a shocker that will be led by a Donald Trump like great leader. Oh, yes. Look, I don't. Again, how can you be trans if you're non-binary? But yeah, they will do that.
There was this part in the original, not sorry, Ultraman, sorry, Kamen Rider. There was this part, and I find it to be like, super funny because one of the first ever, villains for this program is literally a Spider Man. right there.
Oh yeah. Spider-Man. The Eerie Spider Man. Yeah. And he appears in the trailer of Shin Kamen Rider. He appears in the trailer of Shin Kamen Rider. Also, interesting enough, in Revised, there's another spider theme character, spider theme Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Demons. And the cool thing about it is that he has the same colors as Spider-Man.
Like, where's like? Hold on,
What?
there's like the Spider-Man somewhere around here, and there's like a lot of these villains just jumping.
He looks
But like,
so
one
good.
thing I like about like this show is like how over the top the martial arts is. It's just so funny, and like it's clearly like almost like stop motion animation like in this part.
Yes.
And not just that though, but
I
like
always say,
not just that,
go
but
on.
like the other episode after this one was a Batman, literally a Batman.
I mean, again, Ryuki, the Kamen Rider Knight is a Batman, basically.
Kamen Rider Demus is such a huge nod to Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the demons. I just love that one. I mean, to be honest, like I love the henshin sounds of Realize. I just like the songs. Rex, come on, Rex. Just need a reference to Leopardon and Demons is 100% there. Look, I keep saying that when they show me, hey Al, the new Kamen Rider has a dinosaur theme, and I was like, no way. I watched it. I was like, yes. Which is funny because they haven't been, as far as I know. I think this is the first Kamen Rider which his first form is actually a dinosaur.
By the way, like we were just watching that trailer for Shin Kamen Rider, but it's not the first time there was a thing that was called Shin Kamen Rider. There was actually a Shin Kamen Rider that came before it.
Really?
Yeah. Hold on. There's like a whole entire movie that's like on the official YouTube channel for Tori Tokusatsu. It's actually called the Tori Tokusatsu World Official Channel. It's
Oh
like
yeah. That channel has many episodes at this point.
yeah. So
Many
this is
episodes.
actually has a full length movie of like Shin Kamen Rider here. I think it was what year was it made? Let me check the description. I think it's like the 1980s, somewhere around that time. But it's like really
Wow.
gory and really dark actually if you watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you know what's funny about that. It reminds me that one time I read on I think it was on one of the Reddits of it was one of the Reddits of Sentai that was saying what changes will you add to Sentai to basically make it better. And I think that I see it everywhere that many people are saying we need to make it darker. And I always feel that the problem when you take these kind of shows, and make them darker is that you have to always think these shows started as basically your typical hero story. So making them darker, you need to actually not only find a different outlook to them, but also, I don't know, like I can't see a dark Super Sentai. I mean, I can see a Super Sentai with a much more adult look,
Yeah,
but
just
I
only
cannot
like an
see.
adult look, but not necessarily dark.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can look at Kamen Rider basically making it. Oh yeah, we're gonna make it like really dark with blood, sex, and stuff like that. I mean, basically, that's what apparently Americans think when they talk about, for example, oh now we're adding sex to the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I mean it's like I can get it with a Kamen Rider because at least you can actually put it like a different, like I don't know, like Kamen Rider is like a
Wait, they
government
actually
soldier or
announced like
something
the
like that.
sex for Lord of the
But
Rings?
Yeah.
They did?
They said that they said that the Lord of the Rings Amazon show will have sex on it, and everyone was. I mean, they were complaining. I mean, here's the thing: a lot of people were saying, "Oh, look, they're complaining." What about showing Sentai Jetman? It was pretty dark. Yes, in fact, that's what I was wanting to say, that there have been dark Sentai seasons. But the thing is that I feel that when people say dark, they say dark or more mature. The problem of that is that basically they're just saying that they wanted to have blood and gore, and the problem is not. The problem is that when I say darker, I say more adult theme. And yeah, dark Super Sentai exists though. It's not like it's about a dark themes of content. Jetman, Dai Ranger, Keki Ranger. Yes. what I was trying to say is that some people on I see answering that particular question I made basically just say that, oh yeah, we need to add blood and a lot of like adult mature themes. Those stories exist. They exist in Sentai. Like you don't need to make them. You don't need to make them. And also the problem is that when you do that, you have the potential of alienating your fan base. Also, now that Xander mentioned Geki Ranger, so there's an interesting detail fact that I actually kind of like. So, are you? So, do you? Are you aware of Geki Ranger, Tyler?
I heard of the name before, but I haven't seen it myself. Only saw like the first I saw like you see Q Ranger and then the other two seasons that also, form Power Rangers, but that's about it. And some of
Mm.
like Jetman during like Pluto TV, yeah.
Exactly. So basically, to put it simply, Geki Ranger. Some people conflate dark with edgy. Unless it's overly edgy, they consider it kitty. Yeah. That's my point. Thanks, Sander, for explaining it better. But basically, the thing with Geki Ranger is that Geki Ranger is basically Chinese martial arts, and the enemies are monsters who have mastered a particular art style based on a creature. So there are two monsters in one episode. That one is based around a crane. It's a male, but his appearance is mostly androgynous, and he's paired up with a crow based monster. And the cool thing about it is that throughout the whole thing, the white one implies that they're a couple, and there actually are a couple. Two male villains being a couple in a Sentai show. And the funny thing is that when they translated it into the American version, which was Jungle Fury, they're just good friends. I mean, it's funny because to me, it's funny because it's like, oh, so you have your gay representation here, but I say that, oh no, we can't do it because this is kids TV, and I'm like, you're just a coward. You're just a coward. You don't want to show villains showing themselves love and affection. Of course, because they will get canceled in a second, like they were saying. Power Rangers. Power Rangers tells children that it's okay to beat gays.
It's funny because during the
We don't endorse
1990s,
that,
there
by
was
the way.
actually like a controversy for Power Ranger because a lot of people consider it to be demonic. At least when I was growing up, they would say that it was demonic, that Pokemon was demonic, everything demonic.
I mean, it's funny to me that God, I haven't heard of that kind of censorship in Sailor Moon. I mean, when I saw it, I mean, I remember bringing it up to some people, and they say, "Oh, that's not that big of a deal," and I'm like, I mean, here's the thing: if you start basically censoring those small things, what tells you that they're not going to do with other things? Like to me, my perspective is that that thing should have been kept as it was, regardless of the reaction. Also, Jungle Fever was like 2008 or so it might have still been tough. Yeah, I mean, it's much older than that. It's also again the same thing with Sailor Moon. That's actually kind of funny. I mean, it always surprises me how the people who work at anime currently, Funimation and Crunchyroll, are these people who insist that we must insist about, oh yeah, we must talk about equality and also about talking about genders. Yeah, my dude, you're basically just reshaping words to fit what you want to say. I mean, many of you already have seen the differences between the subtitles of Kobayashi Dragon Maid, where they basically put feminist propaganda on the subtitles. But it's I think we're straight. We're going too far. But basically the basic point I want to say is that I always find it funny that I'm kind of glad that Sentai and Kamen Rider never grow big in the United States. Well, they have a fan base, but they never grow to the point, for example, Anime God. Because if they got to that point, I believe that we'll be having basically people writing articles about how Kamen Rider is toxic masculinity, how Kamen Rider is xenophobic because they have made it. I saw one guy one time. I think it was a YouTuber who made a podcast, and he said that apparently the tokusatsu genre was xenophobic.
What?
Guess why? Guess why?
Why?
Because apparently in tokusatsu, pretty much all the enemies are aliens, and he says that pretty much he says that creates he says that creates an environment in which it's okay to hate foreigners. And I was there sitting like there thinking, wouldn't it be because writing aliens is much easier? Because I mean, I mean,
Oh.
yeah, they come from outer space. Like that's aliens have been a common villain everywhere. Like I don't know what is it. You're telling me that Ultraman is basically like a Japan's border patrol?
What? Just
I mean, people do make videos or articles on Kamen Rider claiming it's sexist, giving a lot of female writers tend to die. Yeah, but them dying is not sexism. I mean, I've read about the thing too. It's just that it's just so ridiculous. Like, oh my god, your character dies. That's the same thing they did with Gundam. Although it's different with Gundam because in Gundam they had like a couple that were gay, and then they killed them, and people were in an uproar about it. Also, someone commented, "Not sure about xenophobic, but it's pretty anti-furry." Yeah, that's based. I tolerate that. That's based.
Okay,
That's
I actually
basically.
I found the video what you were talking about. So hold on, I'm gonna
Oh,
show
no.
everybody like what you were talking about because it was like some sort of podcast, I think.
That was the guy. I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
I'm gonna mute my mics. Are you gonna mute my mic so people can hear it?
The reason I like Kamen Rider so much more, from an analytic like media study standpoint, is with its villains are always focused on the idea of human fallibility. The villains come from us, are humans in some instances.
Domestically, almost.
Yes, they're all
Yeah.
very domestic. They're all like X8. It's just some people. 01 is people and robots that people made. O's is the mere thought of greed that humans have, etc. And I mean, Double is just a mafia selling drugs.
That is true.
Yeah. So you have that very domestic. Our problems come from ourselves, and we need to battle that. Whereas Sentai and Ultraman, it pushes that xenophobic kind of idea that Japan has, which is an issue that they have. All of the problems come from outside.
I'm trying not to say a slur.
It always is an alien force coming in, or an ancient evil that has nothing to do with the people around them. And
Let's wait till
the
finish.
heroes are pretty much never tied to the evil force at all. It's just adjacent to, and we're meant to always fight them. What?
Okay, so let me tell you this. From the analytic of the diatribe that you just saw, yes, this person is claiming that Super Sentai and Ultraman are racists because the enemies are aliens that have nothing to do with some gringos that serve the slur. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna call him a gringo, a white ass gringo, because that's what he is. He says, bro, all the Kamen Riders about people using power usually considered dark or evil for the power of good. Hell, both factions said to share a power source. Yeah, like, I mean, I get it because in Kamen Rider there are not so many aliens as villains. But here's the thing: I kind of get that point, but the silly thing to me is that it's such a myopic way of seeing it. Like, I really cannot just understand how you can just sit there and say that. So you're telling me that Ultraman is a border patrolman. So basically, you're telling me that.
I would think it'd be the opposite of aliens wanting to invade a territory because the aliens want to help the humans out.
Yeah, like also that it's just that I mean, it's just so stupid. Like, I mean, yeah, I get it. Kamen Rider, they all use the same power, but here's the thing: that the whole thing with even in Sentai, you still have criminal organizations. Was looking for new stuff. So the last Kamen Rider event I went to, and apparently there's a Kikaida chorus at Hongwanji Mission School by me. They perform medley of Japan's superhero songs. Sophie, why every time you tell me the things you do in Hawaii, it just makes me want to go there and live? I don't know why. You're selling me Hawaii.
The only downside of Hawaii is that like a lot of stuff are really expensive, like really expensive. So
Well, I mean, the first thing they think of when they hear alien is foreigner says way more about their bigotry. Yeah, exactly. Because let me tell you this: when I watch Deca Ranger and I see the aliens, I don't immediately look like, oh yeah, that's a black guy. No. I look at that, it's an alien committing crimes. Simple like that. If you seriously telling me that you see an alien being an alien on a TV show and you tell me, oh yeah, it's a person of color, it says more about you. Bro, Joe says, I once saw a video of a guy saying we shouldn't promote violence against robots because they might be premade with feelings in the future. Oh, so that means that apparently some Sentai shows shouldn't have been made. Oh yeah, but by the way, Saturn commented, bro, all of Kamen Rider is about people using power, usually considered dark or evil for the power of good. Hellboy factions tend to share a power source. Yes, in Ryuki, the power comes from the mirror world and monsters. In W, it's from the Gaia memory, which is basically the memory of everything on Earth. Yeah, Hawaii has the highest average cost of living in America. Okay, I believe that I'm gonna steal a bank, then move to Hawaii. So basically, again, that take is just so stupid because why you will shit on your own, or the medium that you're watching or you're reviewing. Because let me tell you this, the problem with that take, also personally I have the problem with that take, is the fact that you're basically telling me that you never just watch the thing, you just watch it and you immediately just start thinking, oh yeah, hold on, that dude from the podcast brought up the late Heisei Reiwa Kamen Rider villains. What about Showa era villains? The world terrorist organizations mixing occultist, fascistic, and transhumanist values. Yeah, because if he brought them up, his point wouldn't make sense. Like he mentioned X8 as X8, CO, and W, and I think that kind of tells more about him as a person. I'll help you. I get the mask. Let's do it. Yeah, it's just that.
Like this, the whole entire thing was like. Go ahead.
No, it's just that kind of take. I just hate it. It's like we're not allowed to have fun. Like I guess I believe that watching Kamen Rider with this guy must be really boring. Because or even Sentai, we will be watching Sentai and they will immediately say, "Oh my God, how is it that we're fighting against an army of robots? Like, why they come from? Why is it robots?" Here's the thing, dude. They're not supposed to be Mexicans, okay? I mean, again, I believe that. I totally believe that he conflicts alien with foreigner. I tell you, like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, you know, it's just so ridiculous. Also, by the way, his take on aliens really doesn't make sense when in one of the seasons of Sentai Q Ranger, the guys in Q Ranger. So there's a season called Uchu Sentai Q Ranger, and Q Ranger takes place in space. Basically, the team is composed of different people from different planets, including aliens and a robot, that they fight to basically free planets of the control of an evil empire. Tell me that's tell me how that's xenophobic. I wait.
Yeah, because again, when I was watching like episodes of Ultraman, like I said earlier, there were, of course, the aliens wanting to transfer the powers to the humans because, at least in the original Ultraman, what happened was like, the main character dies, and of course, the alien decided to revive his body, and they decided to transfer all his powers to become Ultraman. And so it seems as though like the Ultraman, universe is all about the aliens wanting to, of course, help humanity. They're like the friendly aliens. They're not like attacker aliens that wanted to harm humanity. So that from that angle too, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, the other aspect that just doesn't make sense is that. Hold on a second. Looking for new stuff. I didn't realize how much Daisuke Ban will visit Hawaii because the family's over here. Daisuke Ban. That's the guy from. Oh yeah, Irasuman and Kikaider.
Yeah, that show was really that show was like really popular with Hawaiians in the 70s. Really popular.
So I I don't know why Sophie's telling me this. Sophie's basically telling me, you should live in Hawaii because we love Sentai, and I'll be like, that means that I can basically go dress up as the original Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
Hold on, Sanders.
they really do. They really do. When I was there, really do.
Sanders says a chunk of the Q Rangers are aliens. Hell, in Senkaiger, almost every Ranger is a Kikanoid. Yeah, like again, that point he makes. Lightning Moth beating up mutant Nazis. Yes. And later cyborg Nazis. Yes. But Sander, you're right. Like, talk of our aliens and Senkaiger, they're all robots. Like, also, I'm not so sure if I can consider the Tukaiser as an alien since he's a human. But we're talking about a team of one guy who's basically one guy from Earth who is fighting with robots from another world and a pirate from another world. Like, are you trying to tell me again how's this xenophobic? And even worse, Suoger, which is about animals. It's one human dude who visits the world of the humans, which are basically human animals, basically furries, and he has to fight against an army of aliens. So let me tell you this. There we have two foreign worlds different from one another fighting each other. What so again, tell me. I mean, I will seriously aid that dude and tell him, do you still stand by this?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of these sort of talks, because again, this sort of genre is really, really small, I guess, in comparison to other places. But even though it's really niche right now, when I see videos like that, I'm like, no, we need to stop this right away. Stop it right away. Because this sort of, genre of stuff, with the Godzilla and the Ultraman and this sort of stuff is really niche. Not many people like this sort of stuff. I'm already, of course, trying to get rid of the politics with the video games and the movies I watch. And so this is the last thing I want, of course, to happen in this little niche thing.
Exactly.
The very last thing.
Exactly.
Oh.
Hold on a second. Sanders says robots from an alien world. Also, Sox counts since he and his family aren't from Earth. Yeah. So again, basically, so basically, I could say Senkai. What boy Senkaiger is? Senkaiger is local boy with immigrant robots and a pirate fight against robots who can change the world in various ways. Like, that's what basically Senkaiger is. Again, it's just I find it so funny how they would perceive that. And also, I will tell this. I agree with you on that, Tyler. In fact, I agree that Sentai Kamen Rider, they're not as big as people wanted to be, but I like that they stay that way. Because honestly, there's this feeling I have that if they become big and they get to the same level as anime, especially in the United States, it's over. Like, we will have to basically just open up and defend our hobby. Because again, let me tell you this: gatekeeping is fine, and we should do it more often.
And that's the opening for the show, by the way. Just for those who don't know it.
I don't know why. Just I'm a sucker for these kinds of shows. I don't know why.
Change. Go, 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 go.
Go.
I'll have that in my bucket list in the future. I want to have like the Almandia's tokusatsu intro. Oh, no. When it's Kamen Tyler ever going to be a thing? It could be like Kamen. It could be like Kamen Tyler and fighting against the Latinxes, basically.
It's actually one of my dreams to, if I were to, be a director, I would want to make a Gamera versus Godzilla so badly. Really badly.
Oh, yeah. Hold on a second. Man, I love how all the androbots from Kikaider wear sneakers. I saw it. Also, Sander, he says the arena is big because you gotta sail the seas to access most of the content. Yes. Oh, Sophie, oh my god, that intro just hit me with nostalgia so hard. I remember our teacher would let us watch episodes on TV if we were good that day.
Wow.
Cool. But we all we ever watched on TV in school here was High School Musical. Oh man, we need a list. Which Kamen Rider should we watch? Look, at this moment, I'm not. I'm this moment. I tell you, I'm just starting to just dip my feet in the water and watch
Okay,
a few
so
seasons.
I think the best one for everybody to start off with is the original.
Mm.
And you can find the original legally on this what let me go to the website to show you guys where exactly is it. You can see the original Kamen Rider episodes on this website called Tori Tokusatsu World Official. You can find like other shows on this whole entire site too. You can also go to let me show you guys the Shout Factory website. Okay. So Shout Factory TV also has it too. You can watch entire episodes of. Hold on. Hold on, it's still loading right now. I'm gonna have to share it again a little bit. Yeah. Okay, let me find this. Yeah, it's Kamen Rider on Shout Factory. I remember seeing it. It was like listed on Shout Factory.
Also, if Rider and Sentai got yoinked, it will be really painful given its origins and what it stands for, especially for the children in Japan. Yeah. In fact, there's this perspective I always feel that I do believe that Sophie Tyler. I remember seeing a video some time ago that talked about how Sentai was starting to lose its appeal, and saying how every season since Bokenger had been starting to lose viewers on TV. But the thing that I found out later is that apparently at this point TV ratings don't matter, because with the advent of streaming services, basically your show can survive on streaming. So I feel that we feel that in the next few years we're gonna actually be experiencing a new age of tokusatsu shows, because at this point many of them were I don't say that they will stop giving them on TV, but I will say that maybe in the future we'll be having more catering towards the streaming market. Also, Sophie says no Kikaida events that this year planned, still due to restrictions sadly, but I'm glad I got to meet Daisuke Band like twice before all that. Wow, that's really cool, Sophie. I recommend the OG or Kuga W, eventually 01 once the Blu-ray releases. Look, I only watch W, but I can tell everyone that W is. I find W really entertaining. Also, Alex Kai says, sadly, Toei official website doesn't have all the episodes for most of the shows. Wish I could buy an official Blu-ray release of various shows, but importing is a bit too expensive for me. I mean, that's the problem. In fact, I remember that I was Googling because me and my brother fell in love with Ryuki, and we wanted to see how much the premium belt costed, and it's actually basically we're better off not buying anything. The
All right, this is a
post rating
listing.
era.
Hold on. I'm gonna show you guys the listing of. Yeah, because I saw like a listing of it, the like various episodes of Kamen Rider on Shout Factory's website, and you could do it for free without having to pay for anything. So this is the original one. It has like all the episodes. So what you do, you just type in Kamen Rider for Shout Factory's website, and you can find like the episodes that way. But again, it's like they haven't licensed all the shows. It's just a few shows that they license. So
Says Sander, oh yeah, premium belts will cost you an arm or a leg. I imagine it already. I'm walking in my, I'm walking with a wheelchair, and then it says, "Hi,
oh
I'm
wait, let's
Almandia."
see. Shout Factory streaming site doesn't work in my region. Okay, what
Oh,
what you can do? What you can do? You can use like a VPN if you actually have the money for a VPN to overrun the region locks. That way you can watch it.
hmm.
Let's see. the crew watchers have a PayPal, I'll send them $100 and I won't feel bad illegally stealing one's missing. Let's see, the platinum belts will cost you an arm and a leg. Let's see, there are free VPN. I use Proton VPN. Okay, so use that one if you're interested for like to see it on the Shell Factory or the other sites. Yeah. Let's see, thanks for the advice. You're welcome. You're welcome. But anyway, I think we went for like an hour right now. So
Yeah.
any final words before we sign out?
Yeah, I feel that we covered pretty much everything we had to. I had a lot of fun.
Same here. It's better than to talk about this than to talk about current events that's been going on.
Honestly, I tell you, man. Like I feel that politics, as usual, has been just we're threading the same ground. Some things that honestly I don't want to talk about. Like someone will ask, "Oh, so the Kyle Rittenhouse thing?" Yeah, but I don't. Only one henshin. You want to be the first, Tyler?
All right, hold on. I'll do it. Henshin!
Okay, if I do one, basically mine would be just pointing my cell phone at the camera and be like the one from Yuki. Henshin! It's just the sound. I often imagine how a Kamen Rider owl would be like, and I'm imagining like Kamen Rider Latino. Sophie, I'm pretty sure I've seen the Blu-ray stuff for sale all the time in my library. I usually don't go looking online for Rider Sentai stuff because I can just access it IRL. Oh my god. Sophie. You know, I will ask you to switch places, but I will never let you live in South America because you're too precious for that. I don't know. Every time you mention something like that, it just makes me like, oh, I'm gonna grab a plane. I'm gonna crash there like Pearl Harbor. I'm just gonna go there.
If I become a rich motherfucker, it's like if I become a rich motherfucker, then I'll live in Hawaii. Otherwise, it's too expensive right now.
Yeah, I live in Hawaii, and you port all the stuff that I ever wanted. I'd be like big ass house, and then you come in and like, oh, is that you? And just dicking around with the Kamen Rider.
Oh, by the way, I actually have footage from Hawaii. You want to see it?
Oh, sure.
Hold on, it's gonna take a while for me to find it, but I'll look for it right now. Okay.
South America, the modern Wild West. Depends on the location. Like Chile used to be cool, but Chile is now becoming like Argentina, so avoid it. Uruguay is nice, mostly. The cool thing about Uruguay is that it's mostly fields, so there's not so many people there. A lot of fields where there are cows. The other one is Hawaii is a good place to visit. Living there is just like the 9th level of hell. Ooh, Chile used to be cool.
This comes directly from a luau I was taking a part of when I was in the island of Kauai, because there's like various islands, but the Kauai island, this is what happened there at least 2 years ago before the COVID-19 stuff. So no one was wearing masks or anything. So just a little context, guys.
This is Kamen, and so we send a special ancient Kahiko, the dance of old Hawaii. The chant honors the goddess Pele, the goddess of fire. Ayalao Pele Hawaii.
I'm telling you, like when I was in Hawaii, like the whole entire feeling is completely different than the rest of the United States. Honestly, it's like its own thing.
Look, Sophie, I will said you could caught me working at a luau depending what year you went, but I'm from Oahu, not Kauai. Kauai. Oahu. Wait, is that the largest island, really? Oahu.
No, the biggest island is called Hawaii. Like it's like a lot of different. It's like the big island is called Hawaii, and then the other smaller islands have different names. So
Also, Sophie, you said still cannot believe I have family in Chile. I mean, that's the thing with Morenitas. They come from a lot of places and many people. But basically, that means that we're homies.
I have like plenty of like these luau videos, but we don't have all day for this stream, so
we just hit the hour at this point.
Yeah. So anyway, you want to share your social media before we sign out?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of kawaii. Man, sounds like kawaii. Maybe. Literally, we call the biggest island just the Big Island. That's a really creative name. Is that where all the local weeaboos live? Okay, so
And actually, for Kauai is like the lowest. I think one of the lowest populated islands, if I'm not mistaken, because the most populated islands, yeah, it's like the Big Island, and then of course the one that has Honolulu. That's like one of the bigger ones in terms of tourism.
By the way, so my Twitter, if you want to follow me, is owlghost. I tweet about tons of things that I like, dinosaurs. Sometimes I will put a take on a particular thing, but generally I just there to have fun.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned about the dinosaurs. I'm just maybe for the next stream we could talk about the accuracy for Jurassic Park.
Look, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Jurassic. I can talk for hours about Jurassic Park, and honestly, I can basically just give you pretty much in detail why every dinosaur is not how it's supposed to be. In fact, look, if you give me time, because I'm busy with a lot of uni stuff, I can basically just get a like piece images for a presentation. You can go show them and basically tell people why these dinosaurs are inaccurate. So how's this? Basically, but basically, when it comes to the whole Jurassic Park thing, I can talk for hours. But at this point, I think most of the people were tired. I mean, we're doing this for like an hour. It's been fun, Tyler. By the way, thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, man. And anytime you want to talk about the accuracy about Jurassic Park, I'll invite you on.
Yeah, of course. No. Tell me with anticipation so I can gather up images basically and just do like a really fun and quick discussion about it.
Sure. Make sure you make like some sort of like, I don't know, what was it, a PowerPoint? That's what you're calling it? Yeah, PowerPoints. Yes. All right. So make a PowerPoint maybe once we start doing
something like that. I will. I'll let you know about that. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. I'm glad that hell yeah, this stream rocked. Thank you, Sophie. Also, no feathers, no real dinos. Technically, yes. Although you have to wait for that one to have the answer for that because there's an interesting thing about feathers in dinosaurs. But yeah, I'm glad that Tyler invited me. He's a good friend, and I'm always like really happy when he sends me a message and says, "Hey, you want to be part of this?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I might talk too much, but he's just short to roll. But it's just I don't know. I just get to carry over with the things I like.
All right, bye everybody.